For those of you who own Teslas, I'm sure you know about Evannex or Evannex, and we're going to get into exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced in time. But anyway, today we have the good fortune of having Matt Pressman, one of the co-founders of the company, with us. So we're going to have a chat, and hopefully we'll find out a whole bunch about Teslas, about Evannex, about products for Teslas, and whatever else we decide to talk about. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So today I have with me Matt Pressman. He has been a special guest at Tesla and SpaceX events, and his articles on EVs have been retweeted by Elon Musk, which is pretty cool. He writes weekly for the Evannex blog, and his articles have been published in Inside EVs, Clean Technica, Teslarati, and Inverse. He also writes a weekly Tesla newsletter that's been read by over 50,000 subscribers. He's also edited 2 Tesla books, including Getting Ready for Model 3 and Owning Model S. He currently owns 2 electric cars, a Tesla Model 3 and a Tesla Model S, and before that, he owned a Chevy Volt. So welcome, Matt. It's nice to see you today.
It's really great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. So I guess we can just go ahead and start with just a quick, that was the official blurb, the highlight reel for you. But tell us a little bit about your background, because obviously you didn't start, well, okay, let's just start with the name. Is it Evannex, Evannex?
It's officially Evannex. This is Electric Vehicle Annex.
Okay.
But everybody calls us Evannex. So for whatever reason, it just became Evannex.
Right.
So either way is fine, but we always joke around. The official name is Evannex for Electric Vehicle Annex. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I don't know why. Probably because I heard it, but certainly from the beginning, I've always called it Evannex. And then today, as I was kind of going through and prepping this, I was like, wait, that literally says Evannex, and I bet that's what it actually is, since that's the blog. So anyway, all right. So
we started just selling Tesla accessories, and just recently, in the last month, we started selling parts and accessories for other electric cars, like the Chevy Bolt, like the Nissan Leaf.
Oh, cool.
Base, Porsche Taycan, and so now we really are officially an Evannex.
There we go.
Before that, we were strictly Tesla. So
great. Okay. Well, cool. So yeah, tell me about your former life. I don't know what schools you went to or whatever, and what you did. I think you were in marketing, right, up in New York City before you. Yeah. Okay.
So I actually went to school for marketing. I was a captain of a tennis team at University of Connecticut originally, which is pretty,
Wait, you don't happen to know my niece?
Well, not first test.
You don't know my niece, do you? Nicole Gibbs? She was a professional tennis player until last year. She just retired. Yeah, wow. Yeah. So my family is way into tennis, so there you go.
Okay. There you go. Tennis player, still play tennis quite a bit. Moved to New York, didn't play pro tennis, but almost did. Very close. And then moved to New York and wound up in magazines. So mostly I worked at Men's Fitness Magazine, Details Magazine, and then ultimately Vibe Magazine, which is Quincy Jones's magazine.
Right.
Vibe went on to buy Spin Magazine, which was the kind of alternative rock magazine. So those two came together to battle with Rolling Stone. I wound up becoming the associate publisher of Vibe and Spin. And, it was kind of the print version of MTV at the time. So I was really a music industry guy in New York City for a long time. And so the fact that I went from music industry to electric cars is completely, was a long, crazy road. After that, I was in marketing and advertising, and I worked mostly in the youth culture market, music industry, street teams. This is way back in the music industry days, if you remember. It was a very different kind of avant-garde grassroots marketing that was happening in that industry back at the time. Oh,
yeah. So, are we talking like the 90s-ish? Is that kind of more or less the time frame?
Exactly. So just to bring it back to those days, this was during the Biggie Tupac battles in the hip-hop world. So I was kind of at Vibe during that time. And it was really a wild time for the music industry. It was really fun being in New York City. Had an amazing career there in marketing and magazines, and always loved journalism. That's really what brought me into writing about Tesla and writing about Elon so much on our own blog on Evannex. But in any event, I settled down at 40. I got married,
right,
and had a baby on the way, and decided it was time to move down to Florida from New York City. So during that time, my father had bought, was on the wait list for the Tesla Model S, which is the 2012 Tesla Model S.
Right.
He was VIN number 184, so he was one of the first 200 people to get a Tesla Model S.
Wow.
Way back here.
Right. And he got a signature edition, if I recall, because I watched an interview. It was kind of the Your Dad show for that particular interview. I'll put a link to it in the description. But yeah, he said that he got a signature edition specifically to make sure he got an early one. He was so excited about the car and so into it, and so he got very heavily involved in the forums in the early days. And if you remember the early 2012 Tesla Model S, there was a flat floor, so no transmission tunnel, and there was no console there. And so everyone was on the wait list for the Tesla Model S was like, how am I going to have a beautiful, premium sedan with nowhere to put my drinks, my coffee, nowhere to put my stuff, no console. I mean, it's minimalist, it's Spartan, it's very the Tesla look, but at the same time, it's not very functional. Right.
And so there was this raging war on the forums about whether or not the Tesla Model S should have a console or not. There still are kind of these design sort of battles that go on, on social media and in the forums about different decisions that Tesla makes about their design. And at the time, this was the big one. Should it have a console? Should it not have a console? So my father just said, I'm going to build one in my garage just for fun.
Right. And this is a fairly substantial piece, right? You don't sell this anymore, obviously, but you have it? Oh.
I'm going to show you something kind of cool, which I've never shown on a podcast before. This is the foam model.
There you go.
It's the original foam model for the center console insert he created. So this is actually pretty cool. He made this foam model in his garage, and he took it down to Dania Beach, which is where they originally had the Tesla Service Center, and test fit it in the Tesla Model S at that time. It pressure fit into these two rails in the sort of center between the driver and passenger side.
Cool.
And basically what happened was there was this outpouring of both love and hate for the product. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people really hated it. Wanted certain improvements. Why does it have two cup holders? Why does it have more storage? And and then some people had all these really great recommendations that we begin to build into the actual design of the product. In any event, upon me moving down from New York, he said, listen, this is wild. I've got like hundreds of people that want to buy this product.
Right.
What would you think about maybe putting together like a wait list online to see if there might be an actual business here, And so we put together a wait list, and 100 turned into 500, turned into 1,000. Before we know, we had literally thousands of people wanted this product. And so we were like, okay, we can't just build this in a garage. And so we have to find out a production way to build this console. And so we worked with some folks locally here in Florida to come up with a design that we could we really put through the production ringer essentially, and it worked out. And so the product, when it first went live, was a huge success for us.
Right.
And then after that, it sort of, there wasn't a lot of people that bought the Tesla Model S in the early days. In 2013, they only had 23,000 sales, I think.
Right.
Worldwide. So you can imagine, it's a tiny niche market to sell into. At the same time, what was going on was the media was sure that this company was going to go down. Right? It was like, this is the next DeLorean, Tesla's done. So here we are, my father and I, launching this company, fathering some business. We're doing nicely with the first product, but then, after a certain saturation point, it was, well, what's next?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it was definitely a big spike at the beginning, and then it just sort of trailed off, and then we're in this sort of precarious space. Is Tesla going to survive? Are we going to survive as a company?
I was actually going to ask about that, so I'll just go ahead and ask now. Like, it's interesting. I get it's interesting to run a company that depends on another company so directly. Yeah. I mean, even Evannex or not, up until very recently, you were a Tesla annex, basically. So,
right. Yeah. So it's very, very interesting, having to rely so heavily on, the sales of another company. And so, we got to this point where we realized, like, okay, we have to look at, really at the time the forums were very, very active and really interesting in terms of what people wanted from products standpoint. We were the first company in the Tesla ecosystem selling parts and accessories for Tesla owners. So everyone was coming to us and saying, we want floor mats, we want sun shades, we want a spoiler, we want, more storage for the frunk, we want, a trunk organizer, we want all these different products. And we eventually went on to find the right suppliers and manufacture in-house and create a lot of these products. But, with Tesla, over this, we're now in almost our 9th year, there's been ebbs and flows in terms of business that comes in, all contingent upon when they launch cars and when they deliver cars, particularly in the U.S. So I joke around that one of the reasons why it's been fun for me from an investing standpoint. So I got involved in Tesla stock very, very early. And
good for you.
It's been wonderful. Really good. I've also sold out of it, so I missed a lot of the ride, but I also have been I'd say pretty true to being a long-term investor with Tesla.
Right.
And it's because I have this unique insight into Tesla from the standpoint of being an aftermarket parts and accessories company that sells to Tesla owners. So I can kind of see the ebb and flow of deliveries in the U.S. specifically.
Right.
Sometimes I can even tell if there's a lot of deliveries happening in Europe, if we're getting a lot of European orders, where in Europe they're happening.
Right.
And so you have this really interesting point of view being a business owner that is in the ecosystem of Tesla. And so to your point, we'll have certain, let's say a quarter ends, there's a huge spike in deliveries, right? They try to deliver as many cars as they can for Wall Street. And then when a quarter begins, they typically ship their cars to Europe. So we see like a decline in sales.
Right.
And so it's a very bumpy, volatile business.
So that's going on like literally right now, right? Because it's July, so it's the beginning of the quarter. And so there's probably been a tail off of sales. Yeah. So interesting.
It's a classic example. So we at the last week of the quarter and even maybe a little bit into the week after that, people get their car, they take delivery of their Tesla, and the first thing they want to do is get parts and accessories to make it their own, right? To get, whether it be to accessorize their Tesla or just add functionality to it, storage, to protect their Tesla. That's the time when they're most excited to buy. And so for us, that's the time where we see most of our sales. And then very soon after, like in this period, it goes very quiet for a while. Right? Because now all the vehicles are being shipped to Europe.
Right.
This will all change, of course, with the Austin Gigafactory.
Yeah. And Berlin, of course, too. Berlin will start to like level that out a bit too. So interesting.
Exactly. Shanghai did as well. Even Shanghai Gigafactory starting to ship Model 3s to Europe now.
Right.
Has helped us to some degree, kind of calm down the turbulence in our sales.
It's got to be. I have to think the logistics of this business are nuts, because I guess you can sort of pre-plan, but all of a sudden you've got like a ton of orders for floor mats or something, right? Or custom floor mats, and you're like, oh crap, we got to make all these, and then you make them, and then there's a huge lull, and so then you can have an issue with having too much stock, and it can be very. I'm sure it's a challenge.
It's very challenging, and trying to manage inventory is always difficult, right? So for us, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is a big time of year. Fourth quarter is always a big time of year. Tesla's trying to hit their numbers. That's when they're really pushing out the most cars typically.
Right.
But for instance, last year, during the pandemic, the factory shut down for 2 months. So you can imagine that it was very tough on our business. But then when they reopened the factory and the Model Y started with deliveries, there were so many Model Ys waiting to be delivered.
Right.
We just got overrun. We were like, whoa, just all of a sudden the floodgates open. It got crazy. And then it calmed down again. That happened this year when the chip supply, the chip shortage occurred. And, you probably read articles that there was 10,000 Teslas sitting at Fremont factory not being able to be delivered.
Right.
So our business really took a major hit. But then again, when it opened, we had to sort of scramble to get, our game together, to be able to deal with it.
Well, yeah. So as I suspected, working for or producing products for another company, especially one that's volatile as Tesla is, it's not like they sell the same number of cars every day, right? They're always like this. So you're riding that roller coaster with them. So
it's pretty crazy. It's really crazy. But we always do see, whenever a new car is introduced, the Model 3 or the Model Y, for instance,
right.
we do see a really big difference and a big uptick in sales. And once they get to sort of production steady state where they're really delivering a lot of cars, then it becomes, a more smooth situation for us. But yeah, it's a wild business. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Did you? I imagine that you probably noticed a pretty big shift in your business when the Model 3 in particular was released. After they got through production hell and everything, but because you're going from Model S, Model X, which is in the tens of thousands, to suddenly hundreds of thousands of cars.
Yeah. Well, that was really a big, we were very fortunate, my father and I, to get invited out to the Model 3 launch event at the design facility in Hawthorne, California. So we flew out for that.
Nice.
We went to that Model 3 reveal, essentially. That's when they first showed the Model 3. And we knew right away, we're like, this is going to be a huge hit. It's a mini Model S, looks like the Model S. We know the Model S is successful. We took a test drive in it. And we were like, okay, this is it. It's a game changer for us, and we have to be ready for it. So we made some heavy investments in inventory and in product design, product development, and it wound up working out nicely, and the Model Y has been wonderful too. We have, as a family, we have each of the 4 cars. We have the Model S, X, Y, and 3. Everyone in our family has a Tesla, and so we use them kind of like as a lab for our products.
Yeah, I managed to purchase, because of this channel, the Model Y late last year, so I've been over the moon happy with that.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's such a good car. Yeah, it's the best.
So does anybody happen to have the refreshed Model S yet, or are you still on the older ones?
Okay, so my father's up in the air. He has a Cybertruck reservation in, and he's definitely getting a Cybertruck. He has a Y and an X.
Right.
My father and my mother. I have an S and a 3.
Right. Okay.
And my brother has a 3. He's also in the business as well. But he's definitely getting a Cybertruck. He's been thinking about trading in the X for the Plaid S.
Gotcha.
He's still up in the air on it. Brooks from Drag Times, you've probably seen him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pretty close to where we live. We're in South Florida, and he's in the Palm Beach area.
Oh.
And so he has a Plaid S, and we've been trying to connect with him just to see it, to get a walk through.
I think I saw a video. I think I saw it yesterday or maybe 2 days ago. But he managed to get 1.99 on a road, not on a drag strip, nothing special. I was like, with the 1 foot rollout, blah blah blah. But anyway, I was like, holy crap! That's got to be like one of those like push your cheeks back kind of moments, if it's accelerating that fast.
Hopefully we'll see him in the next few weeks to test it out and see what also we want to make sure that a lot of our products have proper fitment.
Right.
So
yeah.
We have some folks who have bought S parts and accessories from us that have a new Plaid.
Right.
And sometimes we'll send them free of charge products just to try and just to make sure that the fitment is proper.
Right.
But we'll probably have one in here in a week or two. That we can.
Wow, that's awesome. Man, I'm waiting for somebody in the Atlanta area to get one because I really want to go try it out with them. But so actually, speaking of that, because Tesla is always refining their design and everything, and this is probably a no, but I figured I'd ask the question anyway. Are you ever worried that you're going to get put out of business by Tesla because they're going to design, they're eventually going to get so good at it that they'll just design you out of business and they'll be like, yep, we have a perfect car.
That's a great question. And I think in many ways we've been flattered in the sense that some of the products that we've introduced have wound up becoming OEM or standard stock on Teslas, one of them being the center console. And, some folks know this, but we actually sent our initial center console to Tesla. They were interested in it, and then they wound up doing a very similar design themselves in-house. And that obviously ate into our console sales, and then they eventually made it stock, and now it's part of the car. Same thing with the rear console. We came with a rear console in the car. that wound up being stock. We did coat hooks in the original Model S. There were no coat hooks, so we actually created these coat hooks. It was simple stuff that, for whatever reason, Elon and the Tesla team just decided against designing certain amenities into the car, and we came up with our own version of those amenities, which wound up eventually in the newer Teslas.
Right.
Whether or not I think they're gonna, put us out of business, I hope not. But they certainly are growing their accessories business itself.
Right.
I think on their list of priorities, it's not a big one. I can tell you this because our business is not that big. It's not like a big. They'll not get this sudden flood of revenue by getting into accessories.
Right.
I know firsthand. And I think for them, their focus right now is on the gigafactories, is on their solar business, their energy business, on batteries, and so they have so many important investments to make right now. I just don't think accessories is something that's on their radar in terms of a big priority.
Right.
And that's a good thing for us. Obviously, once they do start to get heavier and heavier into it, it's going to make it more challenging for us. But, we look at it as we're always trying to stay ahead of trend and come up with products that not only Tesla doesn't do, but no one else does. And we've been able to do that in a lot of cases. So.
Cool. Actually, I was going to ask about that anyway, so you're just leading right into all these questions. But I guess let's just start with what is your design team? I mean, is it one person who's just going aha, or do you have a team of half a dozen, or who are the people who are your design team?
Well, the three main sort of designers, let's say, really me, my father, and my brother. So we're the three. We have a small staff here, 15, 20 people, but the main sort of design usually comes out of ideas that my father has. He's a mechanical engineer, he's a PhD. He worked in aerospace for a little while, and he got into software engineering. He's just an ideas person, and he sees any design. It could be like a chair, and he just thinks about ways it could be designed better and engineered better. And he's just a DIY person. I mean, he's a do-it-yourselfer, and he's a tinkerer. He's always looking at different ways to make something better. And that's what he did when he first looked at the design of the Tesla Model S, and so he continues to do. We get the car, and he immediately has ideas.
Right.
But for instance, my brother went on a, sort of a trip and was thinking to himself, if I wanted to pack sandwiches and, some drinks and there should be some kind of refrigerated cooler of some kind in the front, because the front trunk is sort of like a dead space. Nobody really uses that for much at all. And so he came with this idea of let's do a front cooler. And he was the first one to do this and come up with this idea. So we designed it, and we worked with some cut and sew manufacturers that we found. We hadn't done much cut and sew before, and we came up with this concept. It became a really nice hit for us.
Yeah, I love it, by the way, because I got one for review, and that's one of my. I think that might be no, I don't know. We just got the floor mats, the new sort of premium, kind of waffle-shaped floor mats. Love those, but the front cooler, man, talk about a useful thing. You go to the grocery store, because we have to drive an hour to get to a Costco. So we just take all the freezer and refrigerator stuff, stick it in the front cooler, and it's good to go when we get home. Yeah, it's perfect.
It's super useful. It's my favorite product that we have. It's really my brother's idea. So kudos to him. He's the one that came up with the concept. And and it's just, and then sometimes we'll have customers that write in an idea and say,
cool.
Can you guys do this, or what are your thoughts on this, or or we see stuff on social media or on the forums kind of percolating about, hey, there really should be some product or part or accessory to address this particular need.
Right.
And we sort of, for instance, we do a road trip charging kit, right? Because one of the things that I think a lot of people want, let's say you drive to grandma's house, you want to park your car there, you got to run an extension cord to the dryer line. You need an adapter to get, and it's sort of like an ordeal. If you want to charge your car overnight, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it may be far away from a supercharger. So we came up with this road trip charging kit, which is a 30-foot extension cord, 4 different types of adapters for AC outlets, dryer outlets, RV parks, and other types of, sort of non-standard destinations. And that's become a huge hit. And that just came out of doing a lot of road trips. And an idea I had, I was like, literally going to grandma's house.
Right. I need that.
We got to go charge overnight. How do we do this?
Well, speaking of that, I might have to get that because we just moved, and as it turns out, our new house, the old house, the breaker box and the breaker box was in the garage, wall charger right next to it, great. Now we have about 100-foot run. The breaker box is right here in the basement. The garage is on the opposite side of the house. So I'm going and the dryer vent is right there. So I'm like, man, I just need to plug it into the dryer outlet and just go for that for a while because it's going to be a very expensive fix whenever that happens. So, yeah.
It's just always thinking about ways that we can make Tesla ownership better, and improve the experience of being a Tesla owner. I mean, we were really passionate about Tesla. I am so passionate as an owner of 2 of the cars and as an owner of the stock, and also as a big fan of Elon and a big fan of the company. And a lot of people I've met at Tesla, just wonderful people, and our customer base are all Tesla owners. And so, we really hear firsthand what it is that they need to make their cars better. So that's really what our mission is just how do we be useful and helpful to Tesla owners and to the Tesla community, and come up with really cool and fun products for them. So that's really the whole thrust of our business.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So, and honestly, I mean, even the little things the little tire, the valve stem caps for the wheels. I mean, I know those are just bling, but they really are nice. And I looked at the red calipers too, the caliper covers for the brakes. And I'm like, I've got a long range Model Y, but that would make it look pretty sexy,
Right.
It's
so because we actually, so funny as we're playing, because we jokingly in-house, we call a category of products bling products.
Right.
They're just they're more to accentuate and make your car's distinctive and kind of trick it out in a way where it gives it more of aesthetic appeal.
Right.
And then we have protection products, vehicle protection products, which we think are really important. Ways to protect your car covers, seat covers, wheel protectors, things like that. And then, useful functionality products, it's storage products like the console, and the front cooler. So there's different categories of products, but the one thing that I think makes us different is that we really focus most of our efforts on useful, functional products. And then if we find something that's a quote-unquote bling product that we really love, for instance, why would I want to pay an extra $5 to $10 grand, for a performance upgrade for my car just to get those red calipers?
Right.
If the speed difference is not that much to me, when just for a few $100 I could just get a pretty nice red caliper. And it's less than painting it at a custom shop. That I think is useful and helpful for the community to come up with a really cool caliper cover that also protects the caliper.
And also on the useful end, the mud flaps that you guys have, because that was one of those things where I was like, when I got it, because we got the white car, and it, as soon as you drive it on anything that's not perfectly dry pavement, dirt and crap is all over the bottom. And man, those mud flaps have been a lifesaver. Drive it through mud roads and everything, and it just keeps it much, much, much nicer. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. Our family's originally from Connecticut, so we grew up in New England, and so snowstorms, blizzards, salt on the roads, so. Without mud flaps, you can really do some damage to your car. And so we just thought it curious that there was no option for mud flaps, especially for the Y. We had come out with it for the 3, so we quickly moved on that and got a product for the Y. And it's been very successful for us, and people love it. It's a great product. It looks good, It looks like it's the standard solution for the car.
It really does, and super easy install too. I mean, it's just a couple of screws, so it was nice job with that. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask, so let's say, and this may differ depending on the product, but let's say you come up with the idea, like we want to do mud flaps. How long does it take to go from design to, getting a manufacturer to manufacturing it to be, are we talking a week, which I doubt, or are we talking 6 months, or, what is it, the lead time?
It varies greatly. And sometimes what we'll do, for instance, is we will design a product, manufacture it in-house, and sell it where we make it ourselves. We have laser cutters, CNC machines, we get the equipment, we get the materials, and we test it on the market and see if it does well. If we see it's a big hit, then we go to suppliers and then we say, listen, we want to put an order in for X number. Obviously, the bigger order you make, the lower the price.
Right.
Yeah, if you get a container load, it's obviously much less than just a few boxes of it.
Right.
So, and it's a big risk. To your point, inventory control is a very difficult thing in such a bumpy market as Tesla. And so we'll usually try to test it first ourselves, manufacture it in-house, and then in some cases we'll continue to manufacture it in-house if it's a very customized product that we don't have a lot of volume on.
Right.
In other cases, we will then go out to a supplier and have it made. We get test samples, essentially. We drive with those samples for a while, make sure that they're right and they're ready for the market, and then we launch it from there. Sometimes we're later with certain products than people like, and it's because we really do go through a testing process. We all own
Right.
Teslas, and we know that because we were the first in the Tesla ecosystem, we had just a big group of folks that buy our products, that we don't want to put a product in the market without proper testing, making sure that it's sort of game time ready. And so sometimes we will take longer than we like, but it's worth it.
Right.
We tell people, listen, wait for ours. It's coming. And you'll get it. It's a quality product. It's
Right.
better to wait and get it right, and than do it early and then get it wrong. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of, and there's just little touches too, like again, the premium floor mats that I got, they have the little Evannex or Evannex badging on the bottom of each one. And it's actually useful too, because as we were installing them, so for people who don't know, and I'll show some overlays, but I mean the frunk, the sub trunk, whatever the heck that thing is in the back that goes where the, extra trunk, the back part of the Model Y, and then if you fold the seats down, the front part, and I don't know if you have that for the Model 3 as well, but it's it's everything, like all the surfaces are covered, and the little badge actually tells you at a glance how to install it, right? So if you're taking it out and putting it in to haul stuff or whatever, it's a really easy way to go like, oh, I don't have this upside down. And of course the fitment's really great. It fits like right to the edges. So you can tell that you guys have spent some time working on this. It wasn't like, oh, this is close enough, there's a CAD rendering and here we go, we're done.
No. I mean, little things like that badging is black chrome. It's not chrome. It's like a cool look, it's sort of like it's subtle. It blends into the black. It's sort of like a charcoal gray tinted look to it. Every little detail counts when you're doing design, and so we really try hard to get it right, and we iterate until we get it there, and when it's there, we're ready to go with it. But it's super fun coming up with the design for the product. It is one of the really fun parts of our company.
Cool. So here's a question just for me, because I have a Cybertruck order as well. Do you guys already have ideas for Cybertruck? I mean, obviously you can't design them quite yet because you don't have one, but.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So Cybertruck's very exciting for us. My father's got one on order, as I mentioned, for your pre-order in. We have a list, like a huge list of things that we're going to be checking off on the Cybertruck. We even have, believe it or not, one sample that we've just off of what my father thinks it's going to be. Like a sample's already come in for a Cybertruck.
Oh wow, okay.
We're without a truck here, So we're on it, and we're super excited about it. And we actually went in Las Vegas. There's a show called SEMA, which is a huge parts and accessories show in the automotive space. 70,000 people come down to Las Vegas for it once a year in October. We've been to that, and the biggest area of that show is the trucks area.
Oh, sure.
It's a huge market where people really like to add on and enhance their vehicle. So there's a tremendous amount we can do. So I can't really talk about much of it because it's just sort of top secret.
No,
but there's a lot in the works for sure.
I'd imagine you probably have the F-150 Lightning in mind as well, because that's a pretty cool product. So, are you? are you pretty much sticking to EVs, right? I mean, the idea is that you're not going to design things for gas-powered cars or whatever. So yeah, okay.
No, we don't do any plug-in hybrids. We don't do any, and as a company as a former Chevy Volt owner, so I own a plug-in hybrid, or I guess extended electric with the Chevy Volt before the Chevy Volt was around,
Right.
And really originally was thinking, well, maybe we should introduce this on Evannex. I was like, no, let's make sure that our site is just all electric, pure electric vehicles. And that's going to be the thrust of what our business is really going to become. And if you really think about it, what we want to do is not just sell parts and accessories. We really make a big effort to do education. A lot of new electric car owners, don't know necessarily all the details behind charging and regenerative braking and all these unique things about being an EV owner. So we have this thing called EVU, which is Electric Vehicle University, with a series of videos on our website.
Cool.
We also have 2 books that
put a link to that.
Getting ready for Model 3. And we also did Owning Model S. The first ever book on Tesla was a chemical engineer that's a friend of mine.
Cool.
That owns the Tesla Model S. That was the first book on Tesla, and we did that book too. And so there's really parts and accessories, education, and then the thing that I'm super passionate about, which is news. And so once a day we have a story on our blog, and our blog has really incredible SEO. I mean, we have so many readers come to read our stories on our blog, and also we do a newsletter once a week on Friday.
Super.
And we highlight the 3 top stories for Tesla for the week. That, to this day, when I meet people in the Tesla community, they're like, I still look at your newsletter. It's like my source for the cool Tesla news for the week.
Yeah, actually, your blog and Teslarati are the 2 that I mostly go to keep up with like the new stuff that's going on. So actually, and like everything that you're talking about seems to like be perfectly aligned to the questions I was going to ask. But I wanted to ask your thoughts about the Tesla community, and also because you've been in this for so long, I mean, a decade basically. Has it changed, and how has it changed over time as it's gotten much, much bigger than it used to be?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It has changed a lot. So in 2012, when we originally got into the Tesla community in October, when my father got the Tesla Model S, it was a very, very early adopter crowd, right? So it was people that were, way ahead of the curve, cutting edge technology. They were really taking a risk too, because the company was, the news has always been tough on Teslas. The media has always had like a really, sort of like had it out for Elon and for Tesla. And so, this is a risky thing. You're buying an expensive car, the Model S. Right. Is this company going to stay alive? Is this technology, electric vehicles, gonna be something that can sustain itself? There was no supercharger network in the early days. It was difficult in some cases to do road trips back in the early days, or harder than it is now. And so that crowd was very different than the crowd that you see buying Teslas now. The crowd buying Teslas now, still, I believe, are into technology. I think the thread between the 2012 crowd and the 2021 crowd is everyone's into tech. And you have to be to really buy an electric car. I feel like, either they're into tech or they're into amazing performance. Right. Because you've got a crowd, and we see the Brooks when we go up to races. This has happened a few times. There's a funny story of like a guy had like a Lamborghini, a Ferrari. This dude was just raced cars, had these incredible like super exotic cars, and lost to a Tesla, and literally went that day and bought a Tesla. So you got that crowd, the muscle car, gearhead, super high performance cars. They just want a Tesla. Then you've got the tech crowd, and then of course you've got folks that are just super into sustainability, being green, clean energy, and you've got that crowd too. But across the board, what I really see has been the thread has always been people that really love and celebrate technology. Right. And that's like a cool thing about Tesla, I think. Yeah, very, very cool. So I'm asking this from a selfish point of view because I'm actually starting a business in another life. It's a software business, not a hardware business. But do you have any thoughts, recommendations, for people who are starting a business? And I'm not a business person at all. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. But do you have any thoughts or recommendations after, again, 9 or so years of experience doing this? Cool. Yeah, I've had two businesses. So this is my second business. Before this, I had a boutique marketing agency that I had in New York City, and that was a wild adventure too. Starting a business is an adventure. It is like an unbelievable adventure. So get ready. It's so fun and it's so exciting, but it can be rocky. There can be times where it can get really rocky, like volatile.
Right.
And this applies not just to my current business, but my prior business in New York in the marketing industry was, the 2008 sort of financial meltdown.
Right.
A lot of people cut their marketing budgets and their advertising budgets. At the time, I was working with Nike, Target, Virgin, a lot of companies, EA Sports, and all of a sudden they cut all their marketing budgets, and then our business sort of shrunk in half, overnight.
Right.
And so it's not for the weak of heart, It's definitely a very it's a thrill a minute and it's fun, but you just have to make sure that you when times are really good, realize that they could have a downturn.
Right.
And when times are really bad, the important thing is you have to remember that it will get, when it's dark, it will get sunny again. When it's sunny, it will get dark again. You just got to kind of salt away the proper, investing and fund your company in a way in which you don't get too out over your skis,
Right.
That's where some businesses, I think, get into troubles. They go through a big, I'd say growth spurt, let's say, and then just think it's going to go forever. And that's usually not the case.
Right.
So growth, then plateau, then growth, then plateau, then sometimes a downturn,
right.
And then growth again, so it can get choppy. So you just have to be ready for that.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. And I guess to finish up, do you have any thoughts about the future for your company? Are you excited about the future of Tesla and your company? It sure seems like it.
Oh, so excited. I mean, it's for me to have started this business back in 2012, like I said, when this was the next DeLorean, everyone was counting Elon out. Everyone was counting Tesla out. Everyone was saying, look, the major automakers, when they get into this, they're going to blow Tesla out of the water. There's no way Tesla's going to survive.
The competition is coming.
The competition is coming. The Tesla killers are coming. And then just to see the company become the world's biggest automaker by market valuation, literally, twice the size of, let's say, Volkswagen and GM and, Toyota almost combined.
Right.
Certain times it has been like the size of 5 major automakers. It's unbelievable.
Right.
And so for me to see that story unfold and be part of that story has been so thrilling. It's so exciting. I think the Cybertruck's going to be a game changer for Tesla. And I think, not just to talk about Tesla, but also the entire industry having moved to electric cars and in the process of moving to electric cars is wonderful, like the Ford F-150 Lightning. I just think it's so important that the world move to electric cars.
Right.
And in our little corner of the world, like our company Evannex, if we can make that experience like a little more fun and a little better for people with the parts and accessories we have, then that makes me feel good. So.
Well, I mean, certainly you've done that. It was great. You all got in touch with me about doing this, and I was like, sure, I'll try. A lot of people send things to me, and I'm like, yeah, this is fine. But I was really, I was super excited because I knew about your company beforehand, because you have a reputation, and B, literally everything I've gotten, I've been like, this is just awesome. And it's so well thought out, and it's exactly the kind of stuff that I'm like, yeah, if I'd been thinking about it, I would have done this myself. And by the way, I'll give you an idea.
Okay.
If you want one, my wife and I have done a little bit of car camping in the back of the Model Y, and some sort of, I don't know, we got a blow-up mattress, but it's just kind of so-so. And I'm like, man, if you guys could come up with a killer, mattress to put in the back that is easy to get rid of and put out, So, do with that what you will, but
We actually do. We have. So there's been a few wonderful products on the market that you should be aware of
right.
that are out there. They're just very expensive. And so the thing that we try to do is find a solution that's not too expensive, but not cheap. You know what I mean? Like
right.
It's got to be sturdy. It's got to last a long time. It's got to meet our customer standards.
Right.
And so we do have something in the works.
Oh, cool.
And we'll keep you up to date on it when it comes out. But I think you're going to like it.
Cool.
It's going to be good.
All right. Yeah. And I think that's, again, it's the not outrageously expensive, but it gives you joy. I think that's, as a customer, that's what I like. That's what I like about the Teslas too, right? You drive it and it gives you joy. You're like, wow, this is just, it makes me feel good. And your products kind of do that too. And that's the kind of wonderful meshing of that. And, if you're going to spend money on things in life, they might as well give you joy. That's the kind of thing you should do. So,
well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
No,
it's flattering to hear that. We try so hard to do it, but it's like hard to know if it's we know because we're Tesla owners, we dig it and we like it, so we hope that everybody else does.
Apparently you're good representatives of Tesla owners, because I think they're fantastic products, so there you go. Exactly. All right, well, anyway, thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate your taking I guess about 45 minutes here to talk to me, so really, really wonderful. Oops, sorry, somebody's calling. I know. People are always calling. So anyway, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk, and thank you so much. And again, for anybody who's interested, I'll put links to specific products, but also just, of course, your main site. And I think that I have like a link that gives you like $10 off if you have $100 or whatever, or something like that. So I'll definitely put that in the description. Yes, the Elon bucks. Got to get your Elon bucks, man.
You get these in each order, which is pretty cool. So
right.
Elon has one. He actually has a few of them, I've heard.
Does he really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Next time you need to put Dogecoin, the little Shiba Inu in the glasses for that. There you go. So, wonderful. Anyway, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it, and have a wonderful day. And again, for everybody who's watching, I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.